Aloha listeners and welcome to the Cape and Cowl Podcast. This is the very first freaking podcast that we're doing for this website. We're a year old this month, so we're very excited to be kicking things off. The website's been growing. Okay, so let me introduce you to the team that is Cape and Cowl. I'm your captain, it's Alex Burns here, pleased to meet you, and I'm joined with Stephen Carter.
Hello.
And Sam Burns.
How you doing?
Excellent. Okay, let's get this ball rolling, man. Today's hot topic that we're talking about is the Justice League movie. There's 2 parts coming out. It's going to be a big freaking event. There's a whole bunch riding on DC on film, so we're excited and we want to talk about that. But first, let's kick things off with some of the favourite stories that have come out this week, and we'll start with you, Sam.
Oh, well, I love it. It's Soda Wars, right? You've got
Soda Wars?
Yeah, Soda Wars,
okay.
So, the Super Bowl is the 7th of February.
Yes.
Which will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm excited for that.
None of us are really football fans, are we? Or American football.
Yeah.
Does anyone have an NFL team?
Huh?
Chicago Bears for us, just because
we
we like the city. Yeah, that's about it.
What is it? The Broncos versus the Panthers or something? I don't know. I'm not too sure.
sure.
But anyway, so Dr. Pepper is back in the Batman Superman film,
right?
And Coke is backing the Avengers film. Well, the Civil War film.
Avengers 2.5.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, right? Because, of course, this is not really like a war in the sense that Coca-Cola is financing both sides because they own Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, they've armed both sides.
What's interesting...
under the
table. What's interesting is that...
Broncos and Panthers, by the way, yes.
Broncos and Panthers, yes. We've double-checked that. Steve's going to watch it, probably. But it is cool because it's like, okay, so Coke have decided they had to make a choice, right? They were like, so Marvel have come to us, Warner Bros have come to us, DC, and they want us to promote their movies, and they've been like, well, Batman vs Superman gets Dr. Pepper, which is delicious. It's like your favourite drink. Yes. But they've given Marvel Coca-Cola, which is the big one, right?
Yeah,
that's going to be everywhere, worldwide. So
well, there's rumours like rumbling that there might be like a little commercial or something during the Super Bowl, when it might be like, you know how Pepsi did the thing with like during World Cups and stuff. It was like David Beckham and Roberto Carlos and all the old footballers just
that was awesome.
West. Yeah, exactly.
Well, everyone liked that sort of thing. Are we at that point where we're going to see Iron Man cracking open a can of Coke? We might be, you know. We've never seen that sort of advertising done, so I'd be intrigued to do that. The best thing that comes out of this is, of course, the cans. The cans just look so sweet. The Marvel ones have gone for a really sort of minimalist, like classy sort of. They've got the faces. It's just red and silver, and they haven't sort of put any detail. Whereas DC with Dr. Pepper have gone a more traditional route. They've got the characters on the can looking pretty sweet with the logos underneath. So, but you tell they're scraping the barrel. There's like a Lois Lane can. You know, it's like you know,
without giving too much away already.
It's like there's no Doomsday can though. You know, this Aquaman can would be really letting it out.
I don't know if we're getting it, but like there's symbols in the bottom of the can, so like the Batman symbol and the Superman symbol.
Oh, fantastic.
And there's an app you can download. I can't remember what the name of it is, but you scan it, and after you've got the can, you've scanned this little code or sign or whatever. It gives you like this comic book on your phone, and there's like a set of 5 to collect.
Okay, well,
which is really cool.
We'll definitely be on that. That sounds amazing. So is this a comic book to tie in with the movie, like set in the same?
I think it's like prequels towards it or something.
Awesome.
It would be handy to have a bit more of a backstory leading up to this film. So there you go.
You just got to go
sweet.
through like 5 or 6 cans together.
Yeah. You also got to hope that they don't count on this happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like all this detail now. Like if you haven't collected the cans, what's this?
By the way, guys, you bought some Dr. Pepper, right? Because this film's riding on this. Great story. I'm really up for that. And if there is a friggin' Civil War Coke advert in the style of those Pepsi Max adverts with the football stars, that'd be really sweet. But on to your story, Steve, man. So this is just a more general outlook on stuff going on right now.
Yeah. Well, we're still keeping on with the advertising thing, really. So we've got the Deadpool viral adverts going on at the moment. So
every
whereas
day.
DC's gone with the whole mainstream releasing all the fast drinks and stuff like that. We've got Deadpool really going all out on the internet sort of thing. So we've got what recently happened was the Man U thing, which we covered.
That went straight up on the website. I came home and I saw that because I like subscribe to United or whatever, and I'm like, what? is Wayne Rooney doing with Deadpool? Because I mentioned it in the article. I saw the Deadpool adverts around Old Trafford when I watched the Stoke game, which we won 3-0. By the way, just gonna drop that in there. I've got to savour these wins at the moment. But I thought, okay, so that's cool. You know, Old Trafford getting in. I had no idea that was coming out there because it's not just Rooney, Mata, Schweinsteiger, Schneiderlin, like the first teams in the video. You know, and it's just great to see Deadpool.
Yeah, because what is it, a penalty shootout? And
deciding penalty. It's done in their training ground.
Yeah, it's great.
It's brilliant. I doubt it's Ryan Reynolds visiting, you know, but
he's voicing it though, isn't he? Still.
Oh yeah, I mean the scene afterwards where he wakes up from the Wayne Rooney dream.
He's probably
I just thought that was really cool. And it's as you say, the marketing for this film's just been
they're really going
top
all out
notch. Really, just like every day is a new joke. Yeah. So they're having a lot of fun. I know.
Well, it just shows to me how much confidence they got in this film. If they're really going all out and wanting to spread as much awareness about this as possible, they must surely think they're onto a good thing here.
Well, let's hope so, man. We've got our Deadpool speculation video also coming out this week because, of course, the film's out next week for Valentine's Day. I think everyone's going to see it for Valentine's Day. They've really struck a sort of alternative marketing method in there where they haven't sort of gone the rom-com flick. They're just like,
check out the review from yours truly.
Yeah. Let's check out the freaking, if boyfriends don't want to watch that or singles don't want to go and, watch a lovey-dovey movie, great sort of alternative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm applauding them on that. Let's hope the film delivers. And lots of excitement there. And if you haven't seen some of the marketing, just check it out on the website because we've dedicated quite a few articles to it. But onto my freaking story. This is like something that's kind of mind-blowing, not in a sense of, well, it could be the best thing to happen to DC in a long time, but the potential repercussions of what this entails. So the Flash, Grant Gustin's Flash, is going to appear on CBS's Supergirl show. Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Boom. That's all. There you go. But okay, so we know the Supergirl series starring Melissa Benoist. It's not been as well received, sort of, as the Flash and the Arrow have been. Even Gotham, it's sort of getting a mixed response. It's getting better as it goes along. It's sort of cooled down. It's chapping into that more comic book effort. But of course, it's Greg Berlanti. He's the producer on the show. He's also the showrunner for The Flash and Arrow. And what this highlights is you've got two different networks here. You've got CBS with Supergirl. You've got the CW with The Flash. They're DC properties, but you've got a cross-network appeal now. So that in itself, the fact that that's happened, just really frees up. Okay, so if The Flash can appear in Supergirl, what's the stopping appearing in Gotham? Or any new DC show that comes out that isn't on the CW? He might even pop up in the Justice League movie, But because with Flash, they're going for the infinite world, the Crisis of Infinite Earths, the multiverse, which is the DC universe. So they're really tapping into, this is what we're talking about. DC, Zack Snyder's also come out with some comments, director of Batman vs Superman. We're keeping the TV universe and the film universe separate because DC is a multiverse. So they've kind of cornered that now. So they're just like, all these worlds exist. It's just like, this is Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth TV, Earth movie. So it's great. And of course, the crossover should be loads of fun. These very likeable character, and it will be strange seeing someone else suit up as the Flash when that movie rolls around. But it's potentially very, very interesting for where DC on TV could go.
It would be a similar case to when Spider-Man was rebooted and everything like that. Initially, you had the reservations and stuff like that, but if you just go in and just think, right, okay, completely fresh film, forget the others existed. Yeah. So if we did the same thing with the TV series, as hard as it might be.
Yeah, it's just that, with him popping up on more networks, they might be making a rod for their own backs because all of a sudden he's being seen by every mother that watches CBS with their daughter, who'd be taking their son to that movie, but might not necessarily watch the CW show.
There was a little bit of a backlash, wasn't there? But because Grant Austin officially wasn't going to go for the movie role or anything like that, he was being sort of left out for another.
He's actually come out on Twitter and sort of spoken about it.
He said that,
DC and Warner Bros. Pays bills. He's been, quite,
even
courteous about it. Exactly. I remember the timing of the announcement was bizarre from Warner Bros. Because the Flash was making its first episode in its first season, and they announced that there's going to be a Flash movie with someone else. So it was bizarre timing. I could see where Stephen Amell made that point. Yeah. The Green Arrow, comes in and sort of makes that comment. But, I like it. I think there's definitely room for it. It's like we were saying before, there's plenty of room in the planet for different Flashes,
Oh, yeah.
When you talk about as great as the Flash viewership is, you're talking more people will see a movie, a blockbuster hit. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, really exciting times lie ahead, and of course we'll be all over that capeandcowl.co.uk. So we're just with DC's Legends of Tomorrow as well. It's a really good time to be a television fan, and plus Marvel's output on Netflix is just phenomenal. So it's at a point where it's kind of like the movies have got some good competition, and that's a great thing for me, So pretty sweet.
Yeah, personally, I'd like to see it go back into the TV format. I mean, especially with all the previous shows, you've got a really good chance to just flesh out the characters properly rather than just cram it all into 2.5 hours.
Exactly, and who's to say 2 years, 3 years time we won't get a Batman TV show with Batman, and a Captain America TV show set totally in the war while the movies are going on.
That's it. Yeah.
There's so much room for potential, and I think they're starting to realise with the things like Netflix that are making just as much money as the blockbusters. Hey man, we're denying ourselves some dough by trying to keep these things separate. People can handle different comic book versions. They can handle different multimedia versions. So pretty exciting. Now on to our main topic of discussion. This is our freaking big story for the podcast. Justice League, man. Not just Justice League movie on its own. Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. They're splitting up this freaking behemoth story. Why? What does everyone want from a Justice League movie? Why do you think we've got 2 parts?
I don't know, but hopefully it's a good sign, right? Hopefully it's they can't fit enough into one movie, so they're spreading it across 2, not just, let's Twilight this.
Well, there's obviously, let's not get things wrong. They're in the business of making money.
Yeah, making money, but you don't want it to be that. Because
it's going to be like a 20-minute scene with them just playing cards or something like that. Well, I don't know what to do now.
I'd go and see that movie. When you see the Justice League poker game, come on.
Or just Batman and Superman, it's just chess.
Yeah. Checkmate. The Dark Knight. There's some potential there for sure. But seriously, I mean, who's the villain? Who are we going for? Okay, all right, no. Who would you choose? That'd be a better one. Yeah, you're right.
Choose. It's the obvious choice. I would go for Darkseid.
That's the one they're hinting at.
Yeah, and I think it's inevitable. That's what it's going to be.
What's the reasoning though? Why do you want to see Darkseid as opposed to other? We'll get.
I don't know if I want to see Darkseid. I don't think I want to go with the whole.
But this isn't what do you want to see.
No, I thought it was expected to be seen.
Like your choice. So we know that Darkseid, right? He's the obvious choice. They're hinting at that a lot. We've talked in our Batman vs Superman speculation video about how it looks like they're teasing him. We see the Omega symbol written in the friggin' sand. It's the size of a city. So it's sort of like, boom, we just blew that up from Apocalypse. So that's exciting. But in terms of like, who what do you want from a Justice League movie?
Well, I like what you were talking about with Brainiac. I still I know it's going to be Darkseid. I'd put money on it. But I'd like what you were talking about with Brainiac. I really do think that would be a really cool, different route to go.
The Devourer of Worlds. Very, very interesting. I mean, he does a similar sort of thing to what Zod was trying to do, though, right? Like, sort of take over a planet. I know he destroys them, but he sort of absorbs their knowledge and they become part of his massive universe encyclopedia. It's crazy, but yeah, Brainiac would be a fantastic choice.
Yeah, I just remember that, watching the opening scenes from DC Online. That epic sort of final battle that was already happening, unleashing the sort of paving the way for the new generation of heroes sort of thing. That just made sort of the whole Brainiac thing sort of look really, really interesting, and I'd love to see that translated into film.
Right, it would be very, very interesting to see that visually on film as well, because he's an alien, right? But he's the tentacle thing they've got going on there. I mean, there was a lot about the ending of Man of Steel and how that seemed to hint at Brainiac, because the type of machinery Zod was using was very... The tech they were using on Krypton, and of course Brainiac, in some stories, is an invention on Krypton. Yeah, the world engine was... The tentacles were coming out, and it was very... You could see Brainiac being really... He's almost got a very similar appeal to Ultron, though. Do you know what I mean? In a different way. Whereas Ultron kind of was just like, it's got to start again. Brainiac's kind of like, I'm the only thing that needs to exist, and I just need to know everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I could see where they're going with that. That'd be. But that DC Online opening sequence, it's so good, and of course that online game was fantastic. He does occupy all the Justice League in a really interesting way. For me though, Darkseid would be great with the New Gods involved, but I'd love to see the White Martians. You know, JLA, Grant Morrison's run on JLA, where he introduced those, it was awesome. They sort of like pretended to be a superhero team. You know, it was the first Justice League comic I ever read, and it's just spot on. It's one of the best JL stories for sure. And of course, in the Justice League cartoon, they've linked it with Martian Manhunter, and he's shockingly absent from this lineup. So where could we go with that?
I mean, we saw him in Supergirl, didn't we? We've sort of seen shots of him.
Yeah, I mean,
being used. I don't know why they use him in the main thing. Why don't they just swap him with Cyborg or something?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, isn't it? We you know,
we voiced
that's another conversation about the lineup. But it's what we're getting, you know. But yeah, I think a lot of people would love to see John Johns. I mean, who's your favourite member of the Justice League?
Well,
this is an interesting topic for you.
That's weird. I don't know. Is it too cliche to say it's still Batman?
Mm-mm.
Well, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, Batman is the best. But I mean, what about you?
I like Green Lantern, but I really liked Martian Manhunter because in the DC animated series we've already spoken about with the JLA.
Yeah.
At first I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what this is about. But he's a really like calming influence, isn't he? And like he's very powerful but very, very vulnerable at the same time. The guy's lost everything, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I love his relationship with Superman.
They share common ground.
The last of their planets, you know. I like it when Superman's left as the only son of Krypton. There's been murmurings about Supergirl getting introduced and stuff, but I think he loses some of his pathos when you start introducing other members of Krypton, and everyone kind of survived. You know, it's
surprise for him.
Yeah, exactly.
We're okay,
but it's interesting you say.
It's Crypto.
You remembered the dog. You know. They need to keep that. They need to keep him separate for me, you know. I mean, that's another thing. Like, who else is going to be introduced in these movies? Will John Johns pop up in the Justice League films? You know, like,
they could do sort of a Vision sort of thing, really, where they sort of keep him secret. He might be in the background hiding in.
He's
one of the
got
posters.
potential to steal the show, and also Green Lantern's not present in the concept we've seen for Justice League.
Well, again, but it's like with Avengers. We don't know what the lineup's going to be like. We don't know if the Trinity's still going to be there. Well, they probably will be, but
that's part of the guessing game.
Yeah, exactly. But the extended roster could change completely for Justice League 2. We could still see Martian Manhunter. We could even see Green Arrow. We could see another Green Arrow.
Oh dear, could you imagine a Flash and a Green Arrow that's totally different?
Yeah.
Minds explode.
Like I said, I'd love to see a Green Arrow that does look more like the Robin Hood character as well. I know Stephen Amell was great, but I would like to see a bearded guy who's trying to hide
with
the ball patch underneath his.
Oh yeah, that's a bit cheeky, I suppose. Yeah, there's definitely room for that. I mean. There's just huge potential in terms of like what I want to see from a Justice League movie. You know, it's basically everything I saw in the first Avengers film. You know, you want to see them setting up. You want to see the arguing. You want to see him eating shawarma at the end of the movie. You know,
but do you want that? Do you want like the same gift just wrapped in different paper? Like
they're essentially the same thing, though, right? It's a collection.
There's a lot of similarities between the two, but I think that's the thing. Can it really hold up in a movie universe? We're just going to have films that look exactly the same, just with, like you said, different wrapping paper.
It is interesting. This is a very interesting subject we're broaching right now. It's like Pixar and DreamWorks, both essentially kind of doing the same thing, you know, and it's sort of like
but both putting out enjoyable content.
And it's only because there's this rabid fan base of sort of like internet, internet, you know, like angry comments. I've never gone onto a comment page and just like insulted something so venomously from a keyboard. You know, it's just bizarre.
I think nerdy comic book fans are far more like volatile than just 5-year-old girls that want to let it go.
You'd be surprised, man. You should look at some of those Justin Bieber comment sections, man. You know, like, geez, that's some dark shit going on right there, man. But I do think, going back to the original point, there's room for it. And of course, DC have already said, we don't want it to look exactly the same as Marvel. And, they've been heavily criticised for it. Again, online, like, it's too dark, man. It's meant to be a comic book movie. All this sort of rubbish. It's just like, would it hurt to crack a smile?
Yeah, to be honest, DC's had that reputation of having the darker stories anyway. So
it's weird, isn't it, though? Because Marvel, when they first came out, were the more sort of mature sort of story. Like, all the heroes were flawed. It wasn't so
heroes,
rosy.
People forget the first Spider-Man film, man. That was quite dark.
Like, it was.
Yeah, it was.
That guy dies. At the end, he gets stabbed with his own glider.
It's Burton-esque, that movie. Yeah. It really reminds me of the first Batman '89 film, and it's just it's the early days of adapting these freaking movies, and I do think there is room for it. I think people can handle it. I think, as I say, it's just because there's this DC Marvel divide that's being brought up all the time because no one else is doing superhero movies, But you could almost throw 20th Century Fox into it because they're not, Marvel aren't getting the rights back to X-Men anytime soon. So you can't even say like Marvel and X-Men are the same thing. You could pretty much go Marvel, 20th Century Fox, DC Comics. They're your outputs of superhero movies right now because they're also doing Deadpool. So that's your competition right now. And X-Men is very different to Batman vs Superman and the likes of the Avengers. It's and it's been like that since the first X-Men movie. They've gone for a real realistic sort of grounded approach before it became the trendy thing with the Nolan movies. So it's weird how these things sort of get taken for granted. Like there was loads of hullabaloo about the fact that they were wearing black leather suits.
Leather spandex.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it is just, I think, things being blown out, but there's definitely room for all of it. And Avengers recoated as Justice League wouldn't be the worst thing because the characters are different. They're inherently different,
I guess there wouldn't be any harm in almost reiterating what I said with the Spider-Man film anyway, but literally just going into the film forgetting that there are other Marvel films and stuff like that already exist.
Yeah.
It's always going to have its critics that there's going to be sort of, Marvel did this first or anything like that, but if you do treat it like a separate entity altogether, you can probably, you get the chance to, have the film have its time. Sort of.
Yeah, like what you were saying about the Flash, just sort of approach it with just like the hands off.
Neutrality.
It's like, I bought this book that's like not canon or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Every comic book fan has got their own canon, right? Of things that they say, well, that didn't happen for me. It happened for me. It's starting to happen with Star Wars fans now because they've had the extended universe for so long, and these new movies have come in, and they've basically said, nah, that extended didn't happen, and now you know exactly what did happen to Luke Skywalker to a degree. Star Wars fans are having a hard time adjusting because all they have is the movies. It's not like there's a wealth of comic books before the movies came out. So it's weird when you start getting into the ins and outs. It's like, this is the story. This is what happened. You can't have that with other movies. So really interesting.
What happens when Disney gets its claws into things? You wait till they take over DC.
Yeah. Oh no, could you imagine? Well, dude, are we getting there, man? Is it Justice League versus Avengers time?
Exactly.
Could we be that? I'm serious.
This could have Dark Claw back and everything like that.
This could happen in Dark Claw, man. American. And the weird Joker Sabretooth thing.
That's it.
Disgusting, man. That made me feel ill when I read that comic. He just grew with the sideburns, the green sideburns that went all the way into his chest hair. Filthy.
Good times. Good times here, people.
It'll probably happen one day, man. It'll probably happen in a lifetime. These guys will do a deal and they'll be like, there's money to be made here. Let's just do it. And Grant Gustin's Flash will pop in it as well, just because, hey man, it's the alternate universe, like New 52.
I'm still the Flash.
I'm excited. But I mean, in terms of how DC is setting up their universe, Justice League is certainly, it's out. So this 2017.
Yeah, first Justice League 2017.
Yeah,
and then second Justice League in 2019.
When abouts in 2017?
It's the day after your birthday.
November.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. No, I was just double checking. I was checking. I was just making sure you knew my birthday. Cool. I expect a card.
November,
there you go. So I'm excited, man. I'm going to see that for my birthday. Day after my birthday. It looks sweet. It looks awesome. Of course, we haven't seen anything, so I don't know why I'm saying it looks sweet. But based on Batman vs Superman, based on the world they're creating, I'm just really excited for it because we're going to be going into it with the Trinity already established. Wonder Woman's getting her own solo movie before then.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide Squad's out, so there'll be a real basis for this. Zack Snyder's come out and said there'll be whispers about the other heroes. I think Aquaman, he's being a bit quiet on. Aquaman, I think, is going to feature
I think it's going to
in
have
quite a
some
significant
sort of
role
cameo,
in terms of like.
They've already said something like that, haven't they? It's going to appear like once or twice in the film, isn't
Well,
it?
the thing is, they're releasing the toys for the movie, and it's like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Yeah, they're obviously, but there's an Aquaman toy as well.
Yeah.
There's not a Flash toy or a Cyborg toy. I think that dude's freaking in the movie. Like, and I don't think he'll be in it a lot, but I think when he does come, there'll be something significant story-wise to him. So,
So you reckon he could have like a crucial plot?
Well, I feel that him and Wonder Woman would know each other because it's that magical sort of hidden world. I feel Themyscira would know Atlantis. I just have an idea.
Yeah.
I could totally see a scene where she walks into the throne room of Atlantis and is like, "Are you coming with me?" And he's like, "Man's world can, go itself," because that's kind of who Aquaman is. That's who Aquaman is, until he sort of realizes. I mean, I know they're saying Arthur Curry comes from Man's world, but he always, once he realizes he's the king, he's like, "Yo, I've got the ocean to protect, man, and all you keep doing is polluting it," and he's kind of Captain Planet-esque in that role. So
it's almost Namor-esque as well. Actually.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
Hey man, we're doing it. DC are doing it first, man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm convinced the only reason you put Quicksilver in Age of Ultron was to do a speedster before the Justice League movie. I'm serious, man. He was surplus to requirements. That was just
Quicksilver versus Quicksilver.
Anyone could have died. What you reckon from the X-Men movie?
Yeah.
And which one won for you?
Definitely the X-Men one.
Really? Yeah. Oh, it was so much better, man. Time in a bottle. What a beautiful scene. That was like... And they even had to write him out of the script in a stupid way so he wouldn't turn up and just make everything redundant. And he's in Apocalypse in a much bigger role. So, dude, good times ahead, man. Good freaking times are ahead. Yeah. Guys, let us know what you're thinking about the Justice League movie. Part 1, Part 2. They're friggin' going whole hog in this, man. So it's going to be like 5 hours of Justice League adventure. That's a really exciting thing in itself. Don't moan and gripe about it. Get excited. Keep open-minded. Hope you've enjoyed this freaking first Cape and Cowl podcast. Just going to leave you with awesome things that are coming out later this week. So, boom. Batman Bad Blood is out on Blu-ray. Check our review on capeandcowl.co.uk. Make sure you go and watch the film as well because it's pretty sweet. And, of course, the big news is Deadpool. It's out next weekend, guys. Book your tickets. Take a loved one. Don't go on your own. Enjoy it. Whatever. Go and see this movie. It looks pretty sweet. And of course, the next podcast will be our in-depth Deadpool discussion.
Yeah.
So, boom.
Not going away anytime soon.
It's exciting. Thanks again for joining us, guys. Remember, capeandcowl.co.uk. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter. And also on Facebook. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you soon.
See you later.
Bye-bye.